Good luck, brother. What's up, doctor? Get this kill, guys. Feeling confident. RuneScape W. From surgery, yeah, I'm back from surgery, guys. Back from. Are you fanboy? Have a badge now? No. It's just a wrist surgery. Yo, sports, thank you for the rose. Just good surgery. I had it on my wrist, guys. I still have to wear a band-aid. Doing good. I just gotta wear a band-aid. Guys.
Expensive, so this is just the developers kind of offering what people
Like my surgery? What's that, brother? Get a nice hit here. Thought I'd kill him. That would have been a nice little venge combo, guys.
have voiced online that they would actually prefer.
Good surgery, guys. My wrist isn't 100%, but got this working videos again. I'm good right now. Maybe later.
But at a higher price point. So you can see the Legacy Collection available on PS5 right here, just the standard edition physically, $47, okay? You have that same exact thing for the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, whereas the Switch 1 edition is here at $47. The Switch 2 edition, because of that extra cost for the cartridge, as we've talked about, this is
How many times you have surgery? Just once, brother. They were super nice. It's pretty good. Take the 68K, I guess. I target too. You play Iron Man? No. Playing on 2 accounts? Why not? Why not? No way, bro! So sad how I die, bro. I triple A. I triple A that, bro. Freaking triple A that. Smash me, brother. You're my favorite creator. Yo, thanks. Then he flames me, guys. Oh, yes. War game? Dude, how did he eat that, man?
Is a small game that's having to be put on a 64 gigabyte cartridge because that's all.
So BS, bro. We died 3 times so far, man. Keep dying like it. I do not know, Candace. Guys, I'm trying to get a tablet. What do you guys? Does everyone want Fana to play a horror game? I don't know. I'm good on that. Got hat test. Are you dropping the OnlyFans? I don't know. Camera. I'm trying to rebuild, man. know what this guy's doing. Attack me. Dang it, he got you. I'm being attacked again. No way, he smited me. Yeah, I keep the berserk ring. That's all it's about. That's why I use the prayer regen, bro. What was that smite, bro? Sure. How much did you lose? Only like 700k. She risk. Man, what is this love today, guys? I died twice already. Got 0 blue. Go buy some berserker rings. I mean, some arrows gloves. I'm so glad I kept the berserker ring, guys. Love you, thank you. How did he fucking smite me? RNG. Bad luck all around, guys. I triple ate that, you know? By triple E, I'm supposed to live. I don't know that song, brother. I'm down like 4 mil, guys. I haven't even been playing that much. Down gold. 28 mil on bonds.
Nintendo offers $57.85. So they are essentially passing on a $10 increase to the end consumer. You do also have the deluxe edition available for $83, which is also up from $65 of the other editions. So yes, there's actually a price hike, which I don't know why they went up to $83 on the deluxe edition. That's more than a $10 price hike, but regardless, the standard edition I would assume would be the probably better option for physical collectors that want to pick up the game, and then you could always, of course, purchase DLC separately if you wanted to. Anyway, $57.85, extra $10, but you do have that literal on cartridge experience where you're gonna own that game forever. The data is gonna be on the cartridge. So it'll be interesting to see clearly how this one performs, because as mentioned, there is some people that have asked for, I would pay more if they just gave me the game on a physical cartridge, and that's what they're doing. Mortal Kombat Studios, in this case, putting them onto that on cartridge experience. And it's very smart, because I do think that the audience who's going to want to go out and buy that game.
Here we go. Finally a kill.
Game physically is going to want the on cartridge experience, because they're a collector mindset, and so I do think that they're targeting the right audience there. So we'll have to see how this one performs in comparison to other releases that are game keycard. Okay. To wrap us up here, Nintendo confirms Metroid Prime 4 to be playable at Fan Expo Canada and still due in 2025. There's been a lot of talk about, since we haven't seen this game's release date yet, is Metroid Prime 4 delayed? Well, you have this. Fan Expo Canada attendees will have access to play the latest and upcoming titles on Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo of Canada is inviting you to visit the Fan Expo Canada in Toronto, Ontario, to check out the latest and upcoming games for the Nintendo Switch 2 system. Fan Expo attendees will be able to play upcoming games like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which is available later in 2025. So no internal plans change. There's some talk about the development of this game right now floating around online. There is probably some last minute finishing line stuff that has to be done with it. It may not be 100% finished in development right now, but that does not mean it's skipping 2025. However, I do believe the longer we wait to get a release date for this game, the more it looks like the November game for Nintendo for me personally. This is kind of what I'm thinking at this point. Could still be a late September release or even an October game. Maybe they double up on the month that Pokemon comes out, who knows? But I do think that this looks like the September release the longer we wait to learn about the release date. But the reaffirmation that it's out in 2025 and the fact that it's playable at this expo, we are getting close to this game's ultimate release, which has been such a long time coming. So Metroid fans have been on an interesting ride with this one. I've been there the whole time just waiting for it, and I can't wait to play it personally. So let me know in the comments down below what you make of all the different stories we talked about today. How do you feel about Nintendo seeking feedback on the game keycard situation, and do you think it is a good sign that they are potentially listening to some of the feedback around the purchasing options that they've come out with in this Switch 2 generation? What do you think about the Switch 1 price hike and the basically entire round of accessories being affected? And were you in the market to pick up any of those now, and has this swayed your decision in one direction or another? Are you somebody who would pick up the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection on physical as it is going to be on the game? And how do you feel about that $10 price increase for the standard edition? And then Metroid Prime 4, do you think it's still coming out in 2025? Do you personally believe Nintendo may delay it? And will you be trying to show up at any of the events that Nintendo...
And ladies, if you ever oversleep, here's a shortcut.
Wait, is that the new
Prize in the
Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 7? You're full of good calls.
Well, the best call was getting it at AT&T.
So when iPadOS 26 got unveiled at WWDC this year, it looked like a game changer. And I wasn't the only one saying that. Many people had the same feeling watching all this new stuff. It felt like everybody on the internet who was waiting for years for Apple to just do the thing just watched Apple finally do the thing. They just made the iPad a computer. But, you know, this is Apple we're talking about here, and there's no way they would just turn the iPad into a Mac, right? They still need to sell Macs. Obviously, there's got to be some kind of catch, right? So I did what any logical tech reviewer would do. I installed iPadOS 26 beta as soon as it was available on my iPad, and then I took my MacBook Pro that I've used daily out of my backpack. So I've been living with the iPad in its place for the past 3 weeks or so now to be able to give you a real answer. So first things first, I already loved my iPad before this update. Like, full disclosure, it was one of my favorite pieces of tech, and I will also admit that I didn't use it that much, because when you also have a MacBook Pro readily available to do any work tasks and stuff that I need to get done outside of the studio, this just kind of became like a glorified media machine. Like, lots of YouTube video watching, lots of web browsing, some occasional email or Slack, and then once in a while, I'll have some fun with image editing or playing a game or two. But again, if I have my laptop with me, which I almost always do, then this extremely powerful iPad often went underused. So I would consider this update a success if I can stop carrying my MacBook Pro with me. Except for editing. I know I'm probably always going to need that for editing just based on my workflow, but for everything else, I wanted to see if the iPad could do it. So that's what I did. And I was actually pretty excited to try this. Now, the thing is, I feel like many YouTubers
What's up,
have
Black?
taken on this exact challenge before with previous versions of iPadOS over the past few years. They've probably used the same title of this video before. Can this iPad be a laptop? Can the iPad be my full-time productivity machine as a student? Can it be my only computer? What is a computer? Each one of those videos details the walls that you run into when you try to do computer-like things on the system that is iPadOS. With this latest update, some of those walls are now gone. Some of those walls are definitely still there. So here's an example. The thing you've probably heard the most about is this new window management, menu bar, and all this stuff. And it is awesome, or at least it's dramatically better than before. It breaks down the wall of multitasking with several windows open easier than ever. Literally any app you open on the iPad, you can drag the corner to resize the window to whatever size you want, and then you can just go crazy, opening a bunch of overlapping windows, moving them around, going back and forth, and multitasking to your heart's content. It's never been quicker or easier to get into this multi-window state, which feels very Mac-like. And then there's plenty of tricks to managing the windows once you're there. Like you can flick a window to each side to take up half the screen. That's super useful. You can double tap the top of any app for it to go back to full screen. And then at any time, you can swipe down to see the menu bar for an app, which looks exactly like it would on a Mac and includes the stoplight window controls in the corner to maximize or minimize or close something on the spot. And also, I gotta be honest, I don't know that there's a difference between minimizing and closing an app on the iPad. Because when I close an app, it just goes away. If I minimize an app, it just...
Is that a smite? See if it's a smite as well. Clicks are a little slow there. 3 mil.
Goes away. But the minimizing version feels very Mac-like, so hey, give the people what they want. But I think the most important thing to remember here is this multi-window mode is just that. It's a mode that you can easily flip on and off with a single touch in the control center. So I found this super useful. When it's off, you know, apps open full screen every time like they always did. The handle at the bottom corner is gone, and you can pull down from anywhere at the top to get notifications or control center and swipe across the bottom to flip between recent apps. This is the iPad we've all always been used to, and it still works exactly like that. But if you go to Control Center and go into Windowed Apps mode with one click, suddenly that resizing anchor appears. Use it wherever you want. Also, swiping down from the middle now brings up the menu bar instead of notifications, unless you swipe down again or swipe down from the far left. And multitasking remembers groups of windows and even window sizes as you're working. It's very powerful, even more than Stage Manager was. You can now have up to 8 windows open at the same time instead of 4. But you know, it's also a little different from a Mac. For example, I noticed just as you're resizing windows, some apps respond instantly as you're dragging your finger. So you can just drag them to size and move on really quick. But some apps don't respond quite in real time as you're dragging your finger. They kind of go in stages. So you might have to resize a few times to get it exactly the way you want it. But then of course, you know, on a Mac, there is no window limit as far as I know that you could easily reach anyway. So you can go way crazier. There's more spaces for multitasking and way more, probably more RAM and just more flexibility in general. But the ceiling for multitasking on an iPad is higher than ever before. By the way, I was curious how this would look on an iPad mini, or if they would like restrict any of this multi-window stuff or having a ton of stuff open at once. But nope. You can go just as crazy with tiny floating windows all over the iPad mini's display. You can knock yourself out. It's way less useful here because there's way less pixels, but confirmed they still let you do it. Anyway, as I continue to use the iPad through these weeks, it would continue to be mostly pain-free, lots of using it like the usual, like full screen, then occasional blitzes of multitasking once in a while. And here and there would be one computer-like task that I'd have to really think through, and then it would be a little bit slower and kind of a pain, but then I could figure it out. I could basically eventually get it done. Like I got sent a PDF on Slack that I
The YouTube video yet?
had to sign and send back. Okay, on a computer that's pretty easy, but here, let's see, open it. Okay, open in browser, share, more. Okay, markup.
And ladies, if you ever oversleep, Here's the shortcut.
Wait, is that the new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 7? You're full of good calls.
Well, the best call was getting it at AT&T.
Get the new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 7 with Galaxy AI on us. Most expensive plan not required.
Then I sign it and then I save it to the iPad again and then go back to Slack and attach it. Okay, success. Like there's no wall there. You can definitely still do the thing. It just takes a little bit of extra thinking, a little more friction, and some file management stuff, but that's scattered throughout the days. And all of this made me realize, you know, with the apps that I use and the workflows that I've built, the question isn't actually, can I replace my laptop with an iPad? Because yes, I can. The question really became, do I want to? Because sometimes, yeah, I do, but also sometimes I don't want to. Like there's many, many moments of the iPad being better and more enjoyable to use than any laptop. It's this awesome touchscreen first device. You know, you have one app full screen at a time. To me, that just means like I can't get distracted by Discord or Twitter or just other windows I have open, so I can just lock in on one or two things at a time. The iPad's display is beautiful. It's super thin, and this thing is a pound lighter than my laptop, so my backpack feels lighter just carrying the iPad around. It sounds subtle, but it really felt great. And this stuff makes me want to use the iPad all the time for as much as I can. But every once in a while, like I said, I'd run up against that little wonky thing or this tiny limitation here or there. Like on the iPad, I can't have two audio sources playing at the same time. So I can't have music playing in the background while I also watch a YouTube video while researching something. I can only do one at a time. Dang. Or when I'm trying to work without a table on a couch or something, the iPad's keyboard case, it's good. It's better than it's ever been. There's a real cursor now. It's fantastic. But compared to a laptop, like this thing is still really top heavy and kind of clunky and weird to use. And there's less metal, more silicon and rubber, and it's just harder to open and close. Dang. Also the Files app. The new Files app is great. Way better than ever before. You can plug in external storage and sort through things easily, import, export, view information about your files, connect to servers, the whole thing. But it can sometimes be just a little confusing where files actually are, like when I airdrop photos and media to the iPad and it doesn't go into the downloads folder like it would on the Mac, just slightly off. Dang. So look, I couldn't be more clear. I love the iPad's display and how good it looks and how good it sounds and how thin and sleek and fun it is to use this touchscreen everywhere. And it's more capable than ever with this new software. That's a fact. But the iPad's strength is actually its versatility. So my take is, I still don't think the iPad was designed to replace a laptop for most people most of the time. But I do think it is capable of becoming almost an entire laptop with the right accessories. But then look at what you've created, like adding a mouse and a keyboard, a display, the folio case, like the whole thing you're carrying around is suddenly basically the same thickness and weight as a laptop again. So you might as well just get the laptop. But the iPad can also be a great media machine. It's a really nice lean back experience instead of the typical lean forward experience, if that makes sense. It also happens to have cameras on the back, so you can take photos and videos with it. It also has cellular, which a lot of computers don't. It also happens to have an awesome stylus support, so it can be your handwritten notepad or it can be an artist's canvas. All of these things that computers and laptops typically don't have. So that's the point. It's just more versatile than a single laptop would be. So if you're trying to answer the question, you know, should you get an iPad instead of a laptop? Well, then I'm gonna just stop you right there. If all you need is a computer, then no. I think you just get the computer. It's designed to be better just at that. Better balance, better hinge, better keyboard. That's what it's made for. But if you want something that can be most of a computer, but also do all of these other things, then just like think of the top 5 things you're gonna do on this machine and think, would you rather do those 5 things on a tablet or on a computer? And then there's your answer. So no doubt the ceiling has been raised for what an iPad is capable of as a computer, but it's still an iPad, which is pretty sweet too. Thanks for watching. Also, if you want to check out the rest of my iOS 26 coverage and all the other stuff that's new with that, check out my iOS 26 video. It'll be right here. It's all the liquid glass and the new features and stuff. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Ha! Come on. Why are you triple heating and stuff? Lay down. Oh my gosh. Really? Finally. 148K. No. Look. What is this special attack weapon? Oh, X. Big hits? Some peeps. Pound. Tax me again, I will have the orange. Good fight, brother. 1 mil. That guy's stolen for, bro. Hey, Ben, just had surgery yesterday.
What's really going on with Trump and the internet's Sydney Sweeney meltdown? Your privacy on the internet is dying, and YouTube, the UK, and AI might be the ones killing it. And this war in Texas over redistricting has huge updates, and it may be the single most decisive moment in the fight for democracy as it spreads to New York and California. We're talking about all of that and even more on today's brand new Philip DeFranco show. You daily dive into the news, starting with this. The Sydney Sweeney American Eagle Nazi scandal now involves the President of the United States. Because of course that's where we are today. So quick recap. Sweeney was in an American Eagle ad that said she had good genes. Right? A double entendre about the jeans she's wearing and that she's good looking. But then you saw some backlash from people who said at best it was in poor taste to say that a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman had good genes. But then others taking it even further and saying that it was a clear dog whistle to Nazis. Right? And then on the other side you had people saying this was another example of woke going too far, saying people were reaching here. But ultimately what you saw from American Eagle was they denied the accusations that they were being racist, and they doubled down, saying Sydney Sweeney has great genes is and always was about genes, her story. We'll continue to celebrate how everyone wears their AE genes with confidence their way. Great genes look good on everyone. And then over the weekend you had news breaking that Sweeney allegedly had been a registered Republican in Florida since 2024, which then resulted in reactions like she pretends to stand with women yet votes against their rights and freedoms, claiming solidarity while actively working against the very people she claims to support. We truly gave the spotlight to the wrong person. But then on the other side, you had some Trump supporters finding concerning that her address was possibly leaked, saying, does anybody else think that Sydney Sweeney's address being doxed on her voter registration for being a Republican feels like voter intimidation? Can't even be proud of your genes in 2025. But also, just the fact that apparently she's a registered Republican was enough to essentially turn her into a mascot for the right and used to bash others. With people arguing if you're a progressive celebrity, you endlessly lecture the public about your beliefs, even if you offend half of your fan base. If you're a Republican celebrity who says nothing about politics, the left will hunt you down and hate you for it. But then there also being no shortage of people going, hey, look, here's Sweeney, a Republican, and then there's this other person that we're saying is not attractive. You know, all of that, it inevitably led to the President of the United States chiming in, which I know some people were like, I can't believe he's doing this, but also, really? And I say that for a number of reasons, including he probably wants people to talk about anything other than the Trump-Epstein scandal. Though to be fair, he was first asked yesterday what he thought about her being a Republican.
She's a registered Republican? Oh, now I love her ad. Is that right? Is Sydney Sweeney? You'd be surprised at how many people are Republicans. That's what I wouldn't have known, but I'm glad you told me that. If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic.
But then this morning he added to that in a massive post on Truth Social, saying Sydney Sweeney, a registered Republican, has the hottest ad out there. It's for American Eagle and the jeans are flying off the shelves. Go get 'em, Sydney. On the other side of the ledger, Jaguar did a stupid and seriously woke advertisement that is a total disaster. The CEO just resigned in disgrace and the company is in absolute turmoil. With him then going on to compare this to what happened with Bud Light after it featured Dylan Mulvaney, claiming that it tanked the company, and then he ended it with, or just look at woke singer Taylor Swift. Ever since I alerted the world as to what she was saying on Truth that I can't stand her, she was booed out of the Super Bowl and became no longer hot. The tide has seriously turned. Being woke is for losers. Being Republican is what you want to be. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Also a note, this is the second time that he posted it because the first time he misspelled her name. But typo or not, seemingly the coverage
Brody?
here and the president chiming in, it caused American Eagle stock to jump.
Just start playing.
You know, all of this, it just makes me wonder what history books are gonna look like in like 20 to 100 years. Because this war in Texas, it's spiraling out of control and spreading into California and New York and who knows how many states. It is going to be one of the most important things we see play out over the next 1 to 2 years. Because we're seeing the situation in Texas go off the rails right now. With Texas Republicans now chasing their Democrats into Illinois and threatening to put them in prison. With all of this starting last month when you had Donald Trump urging the Texas legislature to redraw its congressional map mid-cycle to give him more seats in the US House.
I think we get 5. And there could be some other states. We're going to get another 3 or 4 or 5 in addition. Texas would be the biggest one.
Or you had Trump ordering an aggressive gerrymander like he was ordering a milkshake at McDonald's. Which one, I mean, already kind of unusual, but especially unusual because 2, typically maps are drawn once a decade in time for the census. And it's only been 4 years since Texas last redrew its map. And so what did Republican Governor Greg Abbott do? Well, he called a special session to give Trump exactly what he asked for. And last week, they unveiled this proposed map that would likely add 5 new Republican seats, bumping the majority from 25 to 30 out of 38. But then on Saturday, a committee approving the map and the committee's chairman, Cody Vasut, not even trying to pretend that this is anything other than a partisan power grab. With him telling NBC this map was politically based and that's totally legal, totally allowed, and totally fair. You got states like California California, New York, and Illinois that have these really large margins between the percentage of seats they have and percentage of votes that they're getting. And Texas is underperforming in that, and so it's totally prudent, totally right for Texas to be able to respond and improve the political performance of its map. And so the state house was supposed to vote on the map tomorrow, but now that does not appear to be happening. Because yesterday, Democratic state lawmakers, they filed into buses and they booked it out of there, fleeing the state, effectively breaking the quorum that Republicans need to pass their map. And if you're like, wow, that's crazy, what the fuck is a quorum? A quorum is the minimum number of legislators that you have to have present for the chamber to vote on anything, which in Texas means 2/3 of the House. So that means that 51 Democrats need to be absent to break the quorum, and according to their own count, they've got 57 out of there. With some reportedly going to Boston and New York, but most they went to Chicago where they held a press conference explaining their decision. Gene Wu, the leader of the Democrats in the Texas State House, saying,
"We're not here to have fun. We're not here because this is easy, and we did not make a decision to come here today. We did not make a decision lightly. But we come here today with absolute moral clarity. Enough of your games. Enough of your lies. Today, the corruption of Donald Trump and Greg Abbott ends."
You then also had Representative Trey Martinez Fisher chiming in.
In America, we need to wake up. Republicans are stealing our democracy right before our very eyes, not on our watch.
You then had Representative Chris Turner really leaning in and saying that we have to do something.
They are engaged in an illegal act of intentional discrimination by tearing apart majority, minority congressional districts across our state. And we are not going to stand for it.
Right.
And then finally, you had Illinois' Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker saying,
all bets are off when the cult leader and would-be dictator of the United States tells Texas to midstream change the game when they know that they're going to lose in 2026. All bets are off.
Right, so very big moves here, very big statements, but then in response to this open act of defiance, you had Greg Abbott threatening the nuclear option, writing that Democrats hatched a deliberate plan not to show up for work for the specific purpose of abdicating the duties of their office and thwarting the chamber's business, alleging that amounts to an abandonment or forfeiture of an elected state office, and saying this truancy ends now. The derelict Democrat House members must return to Texas and be in attendance when the House reconvenes at 3 p.m. on Monday, with them then warning that any Democrats who refuse to do so will be removed from membership in the state House, with them then finishing, that empowers me to swiftly fill vacancies under Article 3, Section 13 of the Texas Constitution. Or in other words, he says, I'm going to kick you out and put new people in your place. Right, and that, notably coming after Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton already threatened to arrest anyone who breaks quorum last week, with them even offering to assist local, state, and notably federal authorities in, quote, hunting down and compelling the attendance of anyone who abandons their office and their constituents for cheap political theater. A threat that's now been reinforced by State Representative Brian Harrison, who demanded of the House Speaker
immediately move for what's called a call of the House. The call of the House is what would authorize law enforcement to immediately be dispatched to arrest, detain, and bring back to the Capitol for the purposes of establishing a quorum these Democrats.
Now with this, it's unclear whether or how Texas Republicans could force the Democrats to come back. Right, there is legal precedent for state authorities compelling lawmakers to return to the chamber, but that's if they're actually in the state. And these Democrats, they cross state borders, so technically they should be outside of their jurisdiction. Alternatively, Abbott could seek their extradition from the states where they're hiding, and in fact, he just threatened to do that, alleging that the lawmakers may be committing felony bribery, which to understand where that allegation comes from, you gotta know that for every day that they're gone, each absent lawmaker racks up a $500 fine. So it would only take 2 weeks to go over their $7,200 salary. So you have Abbott saying that many absentee Democrats are soliciting funds to evade the fines that they will incur under House rules. And adding, any Democrat who solicits, accepts, or agrees to accept such funds to assist in the violation of legislative duties or for purposes of skipping a vote may have violated bribery laws. There you had the Democratic leaders saying they're using legal ways to pay for their costs, but without going into detail. Though you had one political scientist telling the Texas Tribune, under Texas ethics laws, it's quite easy for some group to effectively just simply pay these legislators money as a form of compensation that they can then use to pay these fines. Let's say Mark Cuban wants to pay all these House Democrats $1,000 a day as consultants. They can do that. Also, the lawmakers can challenge the fines in court, with some suggesting that's exactly what they'll do, claiming civil rights violations, which is then why you have some saying that these threats from Abbott, Paxton, and such, they're just scare tactics to pressure the Democrats into folding. But for now, you have the lawmakers saying they're committed to staying away for at least 2 weeks, which would run out the clock on the 30-day special session. But then after that, Abbott could just continue to call special sessions until Democrats come back. And right now, it's not clear how long these Democrats are willing to play this game of chicken. And that's a key thing here, because you have experts explaining that they would have to last until November, which is when the GOP has to pass its new map before filing opens for next year's midterms. But even then, you have experts saying that Republicans could just hold a second round of primaries if they miss the deadline. And I will say, if you look at history, the track record for what the Democrats are attempting, it's not very inspiring. The first quorum break, it happened in 1870 when lawmakers blocked a bill giving the governor wartime powers, but they were arrested and the bill ultimately passed. The next one then came in 1979 when Democrats blocked a bill that would have shifted the timing of a primary in favor of one candidate. Though I will say, after a weeks-long game, a hide and seek between Texas Rangers and lawmakers in Austin, that one actually worked with the Republicans pulling the bill. Then the next time in 2003, you had Democrats trying to block another mid-decade redistricting effort, and after a weeks-long standoff, they finally caved. And lastly, in 2021, you had Democrats trying to block a bill that overhauled election laws, but after 6 weeks, they gave up. Which is why many think that this fifth quorum break is going to follow a familiar pattern. Right? The initial thrill and impact of the defiance, it wears off. The media stops paying attention. The social, legal, and financial pressure, it hits a critical mass. All while, these lawmakers are sacrificing their day jobs, their homes, and the time that they would have with their families to make this stand. But even if it doesn't pan out the way that they want, the fight is not over. And that is because we've seen Democratic leaders in New York, California, and Illinois saying that they are now looking at ways that they can redraw their own maps to favor Democrats. Today, you had the Democratic Legislative Campaign Committee calling on Democratic state lawmakers from around the country to prepare for carving up their states. So, depending on the state, they might have unique rules that prevent them from gerrymandering as aggressively as the Texas GOP did. Like in New York, for example, although the legislature gets to approve its maps, they're actually drawn by a special commission. So today, Governor Kathy Hochul said she would support an amendment to the state constitution abolishing the commission.
The majority of people in this state selected us, elected us to be leaders. And when we say that we cannot use that power to its fullest, then we're abdicating the responsibility that we all have. Republicans take over the legislature, they can have at it. But until then, we're in charge, and we're sick and tired of being pushed around. The playing field has changed dramatically. And shame on us if we ignore that fact and cling tight to the vestiges of the past. That era is over. Donald Trump eliminated that forever.
But if Democrats want to do that, they'll have to pass the amendment in 2 consecutive sessions, followed by a referendum, likely in late 2027. Meaning they won't be able to redraw their map in time for the 2026 midterms. Right? But then all of this it's important to note, it's not just Texas. Blue states, they're going to have to battle out red states planning to redraw their maps like Ohio and Florida. And so all in all, a lot is at stake. There is a long fight ahead. And a lot of it, I think it comes down to Democratic lawmakers understanding that the game has changed. And when your opponent is playing by a different set of rules, you adjust accordingly. And to not is just to guarantee your own defeat. And then you've got more news in just a minute, but first, do you know that moment when you open the fridge and all that's staring back is a sad pickle and expired oat milk? Because yeah, that's not a meal, that's a dare. And so instead of settling, I use today's sponsor, DoorDash, and more specifically, DashPass, to actually save money while getting what I want fast. You see, DashPass is DoorDash's membership that gives you $0 delivery fees and reduced service fees on eligible orders. Whether it's dinner from a favorite local spot or a quick grocery run you forgot to do again, DashPass makes life easier. It pays for itself in about 2 orders, and DashPass members save an average of $5 per order. You also get perks like 5% back on pickup, exclusive offers, and even HBO Max with ads on the annual plan. You can even add a household member for free because no one should argue over who's placing the order. And I've saved time, money, and sanity using DashPass. And if you're new, you can try it risk-free for 30 days. So get more from delivery for less with DashPass. $0 delivery fees and reduced service fees on eligible DoorDash orders. Sign up for DashPass today and get your first 30 days free if you're a new member. Subject to change, terms apply. Use my code PHIL50 or scan the QR code on screen to get started. A new law in the UK that requires ID to access adult sites has triggered a wave of backlash and a massive surge in VPN use. Right, in this law, it's reportedly already led to 5 million age checks a day. So that's partially because it has a far bigger scope than just porn sites that need to verify ages. Essentially, any site where it is remotely possible to see adult content, they need to check IDs, right? And it covers, I guess, pun intended, way more than just naked people. Platforms where things like eating disorders or self-harm could be encountered, they need to follow the law as well. Meaning, essentially all of social media, and that includes YouTube. I mean, even Spotify users have to get their ID checked. And despite its name, the Online Safety Act, it might actually put users at more risk online in a number of ways. I mean, to put it simply, a lot of people just aren't really comfortable giving up their government IDs in order to access content online. Especially because, like, if you've paid attention to the news over the past decade or so, it feels like more of a when information is going to get leaked and come out rather than if. And so it's because of concerns like that that a lot of people have turned to VPNs at a staggering rate. I mean, just one example, the Swiss company Proton, they reported that their VPN had an 1,800% spike in daily signups after the law went into effect in late July. And of course, they're hardly the only ones seeing insane signup rates. And with this, I'm going to say something, and I'm also making sure that my sponsor in this space is not included in this episode. But it is very important to note that the turn to VPNs, it is not 100% safe either, because not all VPNs are built equally. Right? Some, they end up being little more than data collection tools of their own for big companies. Because remember, if the product is free, you're the product, which is why you have cybersecurity experts like Daniel Card warning many of these free VPNs are riddled with issues. Some act as traffic brokers for data harvesting firms. Others are so poorly built, they expose users to attacks. While more privacy-conscious users might stick to reputable services, the average person won't. They'll download the first free app with decent reviews, often without realizing they're handing over access to their data. Though also on the other side of this debate around VPNs, you've got people from groups like Internet Matters, which claims to be a children's safety group, warning that they might start looking at VPNs as well, and saying in particular they're concerned that it's too easy to get access to them in order to sidestep laws like the Online Safety Act. But this world of ID checks and age checks, it's not going to be just limited to one place. And in fact, YouTube just announced in a blog post, over the next few weeks, we'll begin to roll out machine learning to a small set of users in the US to estimate their age so that teens are treated as teens and adults as adults. Right? And the program, notably, has already been rolled out in the UK because of the Online Safety Act. And it's expected to force similar requirements in Australia by December, when a ban on social media for people under the age of 16 will start. Which, as an aside, I'll add that YouTube's actually pretty pissed about that, because they were promised that they would be exempt from that, only for the Aussie government to go back on their word. You know, with this news, one of the big questions is, how is it going to look in practice? Well, it looks like YouTube's AI is going to rely on a ton of factors to guess a user's age to then cater what content they can access. So that'll include what type of videos they watch and search for, the general categories of the videos, and how long an account has been active. Right? And then if for whatever reason the AI is actually wrong about a user's age, there are ways to contest it, though at a steep cost to privacy, where you'll be able to verify your age with a credit card, government ID, or a selfie. Also, with this, there have been questions about how effective the AI actually is. Where YouTube tested the feature in Australia back in June, and it was not guaranteed to be effective. However, I'll also say this is not an entirely new thing. Since 2021, YouTube has tried to actively figure out who is and is not an adult with things like the supervised teen accounts in order to cater appropriate content for them. You know, unsurprisingly, you have users concerned about what this is going to look like when it's rolled out, with some saying things like, watch YouTube's AI not even consider channel age when auto-flagging an account. Imagine owning an account/channel for 18 years and getting flagged for being under 18 years old because you watch too much Minecraft content. And that, as others asked, how is YouTube going to use AI to detect if a user is under 18 when it can hardly detect when a content ID claim is false? But also, some of the biggest concerns were just from the fact that YouTube will be collecting even more personal data on people. With people saying things like, in theory, restricting child accounts instead of punishing creators is exactly what we need. However, requiring ID to use YouTube is exactly the bad solution, I fear. Also, it's AI. We all know how poorly that's going to work. Also with this, we saw interesting and controversial takes from the creator space itself, where big notable creators like Asmongold, for example, suggesting that there should be a government system that just verified information rather than letting every company collect their own. Them arguing Internet Real ID is inevitable, especially for social media. Denying this might feel good, but it is a lie and you know it. What isn't inevitable is private companies having access to our public records. The best solution is government. Authentication token that only verifies info. Also, understand when I say that was a controversial take, it was a take that was so disliked that people like Elon Musk and Taylor Lorenz found themselves on the same side. Right? Lorenz saying, oh my God, he is so impossibly stupid. You're against private companies having our data, but you think the government should have it? And you think the government having it won't need to contract with private companies to get that data? This man's brain is made of soup. And Elon Musk saying government is much worse than any corporation, or you don't understand government. Government is simply the most powerful corporation and with a monopoly on violence. But still, you had Asman in a follow-up video criticizing how these ID laws are going to fracture the internet, doubling down.
You might not like this, you might not want to hear it, but if you're realistic and you take your fucking idealism cap off just for a second, you're going to realize this is true. We're going to have real ID on the internet. We're having this happen with social media. You had Spotify and you had YouTube too. And YouTube and Spotify are asking for your IDs now to make sure that you're not underage. And they have an AI checking system. So if you say it's lit or on God, you instantly get sent to YouTube Kids.
With him then going on to say that private companies shouldn't be handling this kind of information, and he referenced the T app, which was an app that was for women only and required photos and IDs to prove it. And to no one's surprise, that data got leaked, which jeopardized a ton of people. But while we wait to see how things develop and how things start to get rolled out. I'd really love to know your thoughts here. And then, next up in the news, this horrifying hostage video just reignited global outrage, and now Trump's demanding an all-or-nothing deal to end the war in Gaza. Because the White House and the Israeli government, they've been focused on negotiating a two-phase deal for a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza and the release of some hostages. But now, Trump's reportedly pushing for a comprehensive agreement that ends the war and returns all remaining hostages at once. And with that, you had White House envoy Steve Witkoff meeting with hostage families over the weekend and telling them President Trump now believes that everybody ought to come home at once. No piecemeal deals. That doesn't work. We think that we have to shift this negotiation to all or nothing so that everybody comes home.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform. Describe what you want and why.
Think it's going to be successful, and we have a plan around it. And it's been reported that Trump and Netanyahu are working on a new proposal that would involve presenting Hamas with an ultimatum. And under the terms of the ultimatum, Hamas would have to release the remaining hostages and agree to terms to end the war that include the group's disarmament. Otherwise, the Israeli military would just continue its campaign. And in fact, we're also seeing reporting that Israel's preparing to expand its military offensive into additional areas of Gaza, with one official telling the Financial Times that Netanyahu's government was in dialogue with the Trump administration over the controversial proposal. Though notably, this is also as you have hundreds of retired Israeli security officials, including former heads of intelligence agencies, writing to Trump, urging him to pressure Israel to immediately end the war in Gaza. With them writing, it is our professional judgment that Hamas no longer poses a strategic threat to Israel. But it's very hard to imagine that things are going to change in Israel, because the Israeli government, they have long maintained that the only way this ends is if Hamas is destroyed or it surrenders and gives up its arms. And Hamas, they've said that they're unwilling to do so, at least not without the establishment of a Palestinian state. And in fact, in response to Witkoff's comments, the group released a statement reaffirming this position. And that also as they released horrifying videos showing an emaciated hostage with his ribs and shoulder blades visible through his skin. And that came just a day after another group, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, released a similar video of another hostage. And those videos, of course, sparked international outrage and concern for the 20 remaining hostages believed to still be alive, with thousands also protesting in Tel Aviv, calling for a deal to secure the release of the remaining hostages. And then, in response to calls for the hostages to be better cared for, you had Hamas saying yesterday that it was prepared to coordinate with the Red Cross to deliver aid to hostages, but only if Israel permanently opened humanitarian corridors and halted airstrikes during the distribution of aid. And, you know, one of the key things with all this is that the group seemingly was trying to use this to draw more attention to the whole dire situation in Gaza. But I mean, even in one of the hostage videos, it actually said, they eat what we eat and drink what we drink, and mixing in images of what appear to be starving babies and children in Gaza. Because to be clear, as we've covered on the show, children are dying of starvation in Gaza. And I mean, you have the world's leading body on hunger, the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, or IPC, saying last week that the worst case scenario of famine was already unfolding. Or with that flying in the face of Netanyahu claiming that there was no starvation in Gaza at all. And that is, you've got countless experts saying, in reality, it's his government's policies that have created the situation, with everything only getting worse since the US and Israeli-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation took over most aid distribution in Gaza, where the groups only operated 4 distribution sites, mostly in southern Gaza, whereas earlier in the war, hundreds of aid distribution points were active under the UN-led system. And that's without mentioning that hundreds of Palestinians have been killed near these sites trying to access aid, including at least a few dozen over the weekend. Now that said, the UN and other aid groups, they've still been delivering some aid since the HGD launches operations, bringing supplies by trucks to both northern and southern Gaza. Notably, most of the trucks have failed to reach their destinations, with hungry people intercepting them often minutes after they enter the territory and grabbing whatever aid they can. Also with this, some have jumped on statistics showing this to argue that Israel was right all along and saying that aid's being looted. But to be clear, Israeli military officials have themselves said that the military has found no evidence that Hamas systematically stole aid from the UN. And internal US government analysis similarly found no such evidence. And so it appears that the situation is just so bad now and that the aid is so little that you have desperate people doing what they can to get anything. But then with all that, while we're seeing Israel and Hamas really not budging on anything, much of the rest of the world, they at least seem to be trying to do some hard thinking. Right, and so last week you had France announcing that it would formally recognize a Palestinian state in September, with also the UK saying they would too if there was no new ceasefire deal, and several other countries have indicated that they might just do the same. And in fact, dozens took part in a conference at the UN signing a declaration supporting the idea of Palestinian statehood and urging Israel to commit to a two-state solution. And very notably there, you had the 22 members of the Arab League among those signing the declaration, calling for Hamas to lay down its weapons, release all hostages, and end its rule of the Gaza Strip. And having the world's Arab nations join in on that, that's unprecedented. But of course, you know, it remains to be seen whether all of this talk turns into any action or actually gets any results, especially because it'll be hard without the United States on board, which very much appears to not be. I mean, the Trump administration, along with the Israeli government, boycotted the conference. And Netanyahu, he's repeatedly rejected the idea of a two-state solution, right? I mean, you have members of his government not even trying to hide their view that Israel should just take over the Palestinian territory. I mean, just this weekend, you had the country's national security minister sparking outrage by praying at the most contested holy site in Jerusalem, which is now home to a mosque, with him saying in a video of the visit shared by his office, it's important to convey from this place that we should immediately conquer Gaza, exercise our sovereignty there, and eliminate every last Hamas member. And on top of that, you have Netanyahu doing everything he can to consolidate power at home, with his government even voting today to get rid of the attorney general who, hey, just so happens to be the chief prosecutor in Netanyahu's ongoing corruption case. And while we wait to see what happens with that, I mean, what we do know is that what's happening there, it is shaping politics in the United States as well. Where this new Gallup poll that got released, it found that support for Israel's military action in Gaza, it is at a new low, especially among Democrats whose support has now dropped to just 8%. And while not showcased 1-to-1, I mean, we're seeing politicians shift as well. And just last week, we had a record number of Senate Democrats supporting a resolution to block new arms sales to Israel. And in fact, even staunchly pro-Israel Democrats, they're criticizing the Israeli government. With even Richie Torres, for example, saying, all parties, including the US and Israel, have a moral obligation to do everything in our power to ease the hardship and hunger that's taken hold in the Gaza Strip. And saying, I feel it's possible to be an unapologetic Zionist while at the same time recognizing there's a crisis in Gaza and recognizing the war has poorly defined strategic objectives. But a lot's still playing out, and a lot that we're gonna have to talk about again soon. And then next up in the news, we gotta talk about the chaos that's unfolded since the Friday jobs numbers. Because Trump, he fired the official who told him that the job market wasn't doing well, and he says now that he wants his own people telling him how it's doing. Because if you didn't see, the Friday jobs report, it showed that just 73,000 jobs were added last month, and that 258,000 fewer jobs were created in May and June than previously estimated. And so in general, those numbers suggest the economy has weakened during Trump's time in office. And that's also in line with other key economic indicators, including a slowdown in economic growth during the first half of the year, as well as an increase in inflation that seems to be driven, at least in part, by the tariffs. But Trump, he says the economy is actually doing better than ever, and obviously these numbers, they must be fake, which is something that he claimed in his post where he called for the official, the director of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, to be fired. Or with him also claiming that this official, a Biden appointee, faked the jobs numbers before the election to try and boost Kamala's chances of victory. Saying in another post, in my opinion, today's jobs numbers were rigged in order to make the Republicans and me look bad. A total scam. And he's actually continued posting about it up until today, referring again to Friday's revision as well as the revision around the time of the last election, and saying those big adjustments were made to cover up and level out the fake political numbers that were concocted in order to make a great Republican success look less stellar. But of course, they weren't made up when they were good. In June, when it was initially reported that the economy added 139,000 jobs, he posted great job numbers, stock market up big. You know, while looking into it, while the firing here is new, the him calling stuff out like this, that is not. He's actually often attacked the jobs numbers as they showed the unemployment rate going down under Obama, only to immediately switch to praising the data once he was in office and job growth continued. With all that said, right, this latest revision, it is especially big, and if you're wondering why, well, for one, it may be explained by Trump's economic policies being especially erratic, but two, like the revision with these numbers, that's actually extremely normal. In fact, every monthly jobs report includes revisions to the prior 2 months' figures. And those revisions, they happen as the government receives more responses from businesses to its survey, which is used to provide a more complete picture of employment trends each month. And what we've seen is in the past decade, companies have taken longer and longer to respond, which may have contributed to larger monthly revisions. Which is why with that, you had a group that includes 2 former BLS commissioners, including one who was appointed by Trump to the position, condemning the firing, saying in a statement, the rationale for firing the commissioner is without merit and undermines the credibility of federal economic statistics that are a cornerstone of intelligent economic decision-making by businesses, families, and policymakers. We also had a former Treasury Secretary saying there is no conceivable way that the head of the BLS could have manipulated this number, and saying this is the stuff of democracies giving way to authoritarianism. And yeah, just to throw my opinion in there, I don't know what else you call it. I think it's putting it lightly to say that he has a tendency to try to suppress facts and push his own alternate reality. And when you're looking around now, or you're looking back in history, that is a staple of authoritarian leadership. Right? And with Trump, I mean, when an intelligence report contradicted his views, he fired the analyst. When experts said that his tax and spending bill would increase the deficit, he made up his own math. And beyond that, he's wielded the power of the White House to try to remake the global trade system and control media companies, universities, and Congress's constitutional power of the purse. And just like all these individual stories, this one, it's part of a much bigger story that's happening here. And that, my friend, is where today's show is gonna end. And well, of course, I'll see you right back here tomorrow with a brand new Philip DeFranco show. If you missed it over the weekend because it's new, I got 2 brand new videos for you. One where I handed the wheel over to you to answer your questions and dive into news that you wanted. 2, I put out a brand new episode of In Good Faith with Philip DeFranco, and I had Brian Tyler Cohen on. It's a great watch right here on YouTube. Links to those in the description. But hey, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and I'll see you tomorrow.
So, oh, you put her in the dumpster.
Philip DeFranco. That's what we're listening
Mary,
to.
I know, but okay. Oh, then she's buried 10 feet deep in garbage now. Oh, you're just Mary. I know. So Justice here.
This is 74-year-old Philip Snyder, and he has absolutely no idea that he is being recorded. After his doting wife of 54 years vanished without a trace, the police found themselves at a dead end. But that changes when they send an undercover detective to the tranquil city of Hartville, Ohio. By random chance, the detectives will uncover much more than they could have ever imagined.
Watch my spell. You'll be able to spell it. I'm gonna leave like that. Oh yeah, I just saw something's in there.
Don't get friendly with him.
Oh, really? With that guy there?
He's the one his wife's missing.
Somebody was telling me about that.
Yeah. They can't find the body, so they can't start.
Do you think he did it?
He said he did, and then he's not well.
Hartville, Ohio is the
You're back, Ted. Bunny, bunny. What are you doing again? We're playing, trying to get some gold. PKing.
exact kind of town where you would expect an elderly couple to spend the sunset years of their lives together. Roberta Lee Heisler, or Bobby as she was effectively known, loved living in the town. She spoke often to her sons and spent the majority of her time crafting, which was her greatest passion in life. Her husband, Phil, was a retired construction worker who spent his lazy early mornings at the town's fast food restaurants, sharing coffee with the locals. Little did he know, it would be there over a steaming cup of coffee that he would slip up and reveal to police what became of his wife. On January 4th, 2018, Phil and his wife began a long, happy journey together to visit Graceland, the former home and final resting place of Elvis. Bobby, a lifelong fan of Elvis, wanted to go on one last trip before she died. She had been struggling with health issues for several years, and in the last few months of her life, her symptoms had become hard to manage. Phil was praised by the whole family for being such a supportive husband and helping his wife fulfill her wish. That is, until he returned without her. It didn't take long for the rest of Roberta's family to become concerned, specifically her sister. After calling Phil and being told nonchalantly that Bobby passed away when they were in Tennessee, Bobby's sister called the police to file a missing person report. When Phil and Bobby's son, Kenny, heard the news, he became concerned and demanded answers. Just as the Snyder family wanted to know the truth behind Bobby's disappearance, MyHeritage offers families today the opportunity to uncover and celebrate their history. Let me introduce you to MyHeritage, today's video sponsor. With MyHeritage, you can easily build your family tree and uncover your origins without needing a DNA test. As long as you know your parents' names, MyHeritage takes care of the rest. Once you input that information into the site, they will automatically expand your family tree. With over 20 billion records, MyHeritage reveals facts about your origins that you probably had no idea about. For example, our editor, thanks to this Deseret News article, discovered his great-uncle's involvement in the production of the movie Man of Iron. Check out these record matches from old newspapers. These matches can include information like when someone in your tree passed away, their burial site, obituaries, and more. MyHeritage has a library of over 20 billion documents, so you'll also find scans that support these family tree records. Access instant discoveries by hovering your cursor over the Discoveries tab in the main menu and selecting Instant Discoveries. On this page, you'll find all the discoveries MyHeritage has found for your tree. See your family history and photos with just a click of a button. With MyHeritage, you can also repair, colorize, enhance, and even animate old family photos. With MyHeritage, you can bring your family portraits to life just like that. Make sure to check out our link down below or scan the QR code visible on the screen to get a 14-day free trial and start learning about your family and origins today. On January 10th, 2018, the Hartville police arrived at Phil's house to do a welfare check on Bobby. From the moment Phil opened the door, his behavior struck law enforcement as odd.
Hey, Phil. Are you Phil?
Yeah.
You mind if I step in for a second?
Sure, good morning.
How you doing?
Doing good.
Good. Hey, we had some calls from family members, and they just wanted us to come out and check and make sure you're okay on you and your wife. You guys okay?
I'm okay, yes.
Okay.
My wife passed away.
Okay, when did that happen?
The 6th.
The 6th of January?
Yeah.
Okay. How'd that happen?
We went down to Memphis to see Elvis's down there. And what family members asked you to check?
Brian did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they just wanted us to check and make sure that you're okay. And so what happened?
She had.
When did you guys go down?
Well, we left the 5th.
January 5th?
Actually, the 4th. Late on the 4th and the 5th. Got down there the 6th, and she choked on her phlegm. She'd been choking for about a year.
Okay.
And she wanted to go down one more time before she died. I think she knew she was going to die.
Okay.
He claims that he waved down an ambulance that was in the parking lot of a business next door, but the paramedics told him that it was too late. His beloved wife of half a century was dead. There were already several things not adding up for law enforcement, but what Phil said next was truly unbelievable.
So when they transported, did you speak with the coroner or?
No.
No? No. So what happened? So where's your wife now? What happened to her?
They took her to a place where they cremate people.
Okay, and you don't know where that is either?
No. They said I didn't need to stay. If I wanted to, I could just go ahead and go home.
Okay. So what are they going to do with the cremation?
She didn't want no ashes kept back.
Okay.
We've talked about this, several times.
Several times?
Not several, but in the last 6 months we've talked about it. She would say, if I die, no, I don't want to be sitting on someone's shelf. So, no ashes brought back.
And so when when this all happened, the ambulance transported to the hospital.
Wherever to.
So you don't know the ambulance or the hospital or anything?
No.
Not only does Phil claim that he doesn't remember what ambulance took his wife, he also claims that he has no idea where she was cremated. Police weren't just seeing red flags, they were drowning in them. 2 days later, law enforcement returned to Phil's house to search it for evidence, and also to get more insight from Phil on where all these supposed events took place. They painstakingly searched the house room by room to find evidence, and asked Phil some questions along the way.
I got a map in the truck.
You got a map in the truck? Okay.
That map stays. It's an old one.
Yeah.
Are you a churchgoer?
Not every Sunday, no.
Do you have a priest as well as a doctor, or a minister, a pastor? Do you pray?
Often.
Well, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to pray for your wife.
I would.
Pray for her soul. Pray that we find her body so that she can, if she wanted to be cremated, we can make sure that she gets the proper burial that she deserves. Because, sir, I'm afraid that she's somewhere out there, and they're calling her Jane Doe right now. That's honestly what I think is going on. And if that's the reality of it, she deserves better, you deserve better, your kids deserve better, her friends deserve better, everybody in her life deserves better. We need all the help we can get.
I'll give it to you.
So,
as the wrist, it's doing okay.
Is that picture
Still
good?
healing.
Yes. Well, it's the best that we can do right now.
Upstairs, the officer addresses for the first time that things aren't adding up. Phil's nonchalant attitude when police try to highlight how ridiculous his story is certainly notable. But it's the lack of death certificate that's really concerning officers.
Who took her and where did she go? Do you know that there's going to be some people that may think you did something to her? But I'm just asking you, you know that there are some people that may think that of you. I didn't.
Big hits?
Okay. And you didn't leave her somewhere else? No. Because that's what people will think. You know, I'm already getting phone calls from the news channels. This is going to be a big story. I want you to be aware of that. And it gets bigger when police don't have any answers.
I can't help them.
Okay.
I can't help you.
Okay, and I appreciate that. You know,
I didn't do anything.
Got 92 HP.
And you know for absolute certainty that somebody else took her out of your truck on Elvis Presley Boulevard, and they took her somewhere.
They said she was dead.
Okay. And they took her somewhere.
I don't know whether they took her to I don't think they would take her to a crematorium because you gotta have a death certificate.
Right. Somebody has to pronounce a person dead. And if you're a person who is in the state,
come on, why would you bench
live in
there,
another
bro?
state,
Oh my god.
the hospital can't just do that. A doctor can't do that. It has to be a medical examiner or a coroner. That's what the law is.
I should have ate, man.
So somebody
I thought he was
official
gonna just die,
has
bro.
to do that. And we've contacted all the official people.
Scars.
And they say, we never heard of Roberta Snyder. We don't know anything about what you're talking about.
Things look even worse for Phil when police uncover footage of him stopping at a gas station on his way out of Ohio without Bobby in the car beside him. Driven by this new evidence, law enforcement speaks to Phil again on the 14th of January. After an hour of questioning, Phil breaks down and tells law enforcement an entirely different story.
I admit that. That's the reason that you didn't see her on the videos, because she was already dead. She was dead on the video.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. She was when I wanted to get her to Graceland. So I did. She was dead on the way down. But I didn't harm her. I did not harm her. I wanted to make it so that she could be there.
I think we've made a little bit of headway. I'm glad that you are acknowledging that part of which that I have video for. But I'm just disappointed that you're not completing the story, because I know if she was here, she would be telling you, Phil, be honest.
And she was so cold in the truck. And
come on,
it was
freaking
very, very cold that morning.
Special attack back.
She was dead on the way down. She was alive when we left here. She died on the way down.
Okay. So what happened?
There we go, we made some of our money back.
Armed with this new admission, the officer reminds Phil that his story where the coroner picked up Bobby's body is highly unlikely. Quickly, Phil offers an alternate story.
What do you do? What do you do? I didn't do nothing to her. See, the Kentucky River or the Tennessee River was on the way home. I put her in. I was just barely able to lift her up and throw her over the edge. And I put her in the river. And the current took her away.
So why did you throw her in the river?
I didn't want her to be clean. I wanted her to be with nature. And I wanted her to be safe with nature. And I figured if she went downstream, no one would ever be able to find her. You want to take me to jail?
I want to take you to jail. No. but I want to find your line.
Soon after this interview, law enforcement began to search the river where Phil indicates that he dumped Bobby's body. In the meantime, the Hartville Police Department have a search of their own to do. They bring cadaver dogs to Phil's house and his truck. What they recover there is enough to ensure them that they're on the right track. And it's about to become more twisted than ever.
You like something here. Now, it could be that pad that... Got me on tape? Ready? Sustan. You got me on tape?
Play a horror game?
Sustan. Nim. Nim. No, it's just... I mean, we'll tell them. I smell something. All right, so we got this area here. It could be something. It could be this. It could be this. I mean,
this could have been in the truck when. Yeah.
Watch when I smell. You'll be able to smell it. I'm gonna leave it like that.
Oh yeah, I can smell something.
Something's in there. All right.
You want fanboys? Okay.
Suka. Alright, so something's... Alright, we're gonna leave it. Nem, I don't want you to touch anymore. Sustan. But I just don't know if it's that, or if it's... You smell that? You smell it?
I
Do you
can
get a
smell.
whiff?
Yeah, I can get a whiff.
Take more. No. Nem, you got gloves? Yeah, go ahead and just move it if you want. Just hold it if you want it. Now, here's more Christmas. He's not interested in any other Christmas stuff. He's interested. Do you smell that? Yeah,
it does smell like something.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Inside the tote, law enforcement uncovered what appeared to be blood, the cut-up front of a sweatshirt, and plastic bags with what seemed to be blood spatter on them. All of the items were submitted to the Bureau of Criminal Investigations labs for testing, and the results were exactly what police expected. All of the items tested positive for human blood. Armed with the irrefutable proof that blood was in the toad in the basement, police knew that they had the upper hand in questioning Phil. But questioning couldn't happen right away. Soon after the toad was found, Phil attempted to take his own life. He left a note for his son, which read, "Dear Kenny, I did not harm your mom. Your dad." After allowing him time to recover, the police confronted him at the hospital. Once more, Phil's story started to change.
So, here's the situation. One of us is going to tell your story. If I tell your story, it's not going to be as well received as if you tell your story. Okay. Not only that, but Kenny and Brian and Deborah all deserve to know the truth. Okay? And you are not being truthful. I mean,
she didn't die. She didn't die at home. She died in the route.
Well, you know how far from your home Worcester is?
No.
Not very. So you're telling me that she got into the truck in the garage, and somewhere between your home and Worcester, she died and you threw her in the back of the truck?
No, I'm not telling you that at all.
Faced with hard evidence that refutes his story, Phil struggles to come up with a reasonable explanation. The detective tries to guilt Phil into telling the truth by bringing up his family. When that doesn't work, he has no option but to drop a bomb on Phil.
When you threw her in the river, what was she
16 mil.
Yeah.
That covers one of the bonds. We will take it. Good fight, brother. I didn't think we'd get him good. 45. The plugins?
Okay.
And I had put her in black plastic bags.
That was a nice kill, guys.
And I didn't
I
throw
don't get
her.
those like
I
that.
laid her. I didn't throw her. I laid her in. And I heard the splash.
Oh, for sure.
I didn't cut her off for sure.
Yeah, for real, I'm gonna upload.
So, why'd you cut it for sure?
I didn't. Where was this at?
So why'd you cut off her shirt?
I didn't. Where's that at?
In your basement.
No, that's something that she's done. I didn't do that.
It was in that red bin under that table, Phil. Now, here's the thing about DNA and about human decomposition. Now remember, all of the stuff that we have is up at the Bureau of Criminal Investigation Crime Lab in Richfield, Ohio.
I didn't cut her off her shirt. No.
Well, then who did?
I didn't.
Then who did?
I don't know that anybody did.
Well, here's the thing about human decomposition. The human body decomposes in stages. So if I'm dead a day, there's a difference in my physiology than if I'm dead for 3 days, or 5 or 7, or if I'm dead for a month, or if something's been somewhere decomposing for a year. It's all different. And the scientific information is indisputable. So we know that shirt came off of her dead body.
I didn't cut her shirt off.
Then how did her shirt come off?
I don't know. I didn't do it. I don't know how that shirt got there. I don't know.
You look like crap, thank you.
Here's the sad thing. And like I said in the beginning, somebody's going to tell your story. Here's what my plan is pretty simple. I'm going to go to the grand jury in the back of the truck, and I'm going to explain to him that your wife is dead. We found her decomposing tissue in your basement. We have pictures of your truck in Worcester, Ohio, without her in it, although you say she is. But that lie is on top of all these other lies. I'm just explaining this. We're going to explain this to the grand jury. And
yeah, brother.
Here's the thing that really bothers me the most. If you are innocent, you want the truth to be out there, the whole truth. But we have indisputable evidence that you're not being truthful. So why don't you just explain to me so I don't have to go and tell the grand jury what I think happened, so we can know exactly what happened. Kenny deserves to know where his mom is. I've told you before, and I'm telling you again, I will drive you there. We will go and get her. Don't let the final chapter of this story be written by law enforcement. Explain why you panicked, what you did, how you did it, where you did it, and let us all move on.
I don't want to continue this. I don't want to continue this. And I got a question.
Sure.
Kenny wants to sell the Jeep.
Well, he's got your power of attorney. He can do it.
Phil's immediate choice to shut down and say he doesn't want to continue the interview is likely so that he has time alone to come up with yet another story for detectives. However, Phil hasn't verbally requested a lawyer, so he will be questioned until he does so.
I know. But what to say is just the truth.
That's a nice girl.
Did she die at home and you took her to Memphis anyway? I mean, I understand that if that's what you did, but I know she wasn't riding in your truck. We got indisputable evidence that she was not in your truck, at least not in the front. Okay, so if she was in the back, what difference does it make if she was in the back between Columbus and Cincinnati, or if she was in the back when you left your garage? What difference does it make? Other than it's true.
Have Kenny come in, please. They think she died at home. Yes. I took her to. She wanted to go one more time.
Really, it's jarring. Yeah, it's jarring now. And for
casual use of hard R.
Yeah.
I asked you this last night.
Yeah, absolutely. Casual use of the hard R.
Really?
It's jarring. Yeah, it's jarring now.
Tell us
and
about
for
casual use of hard R.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
Okay, it was an episode of American Dad, and it was really, yeah, it wasn't for shock value. It was just,
We just
like,
made it.
I mean, I'm not going to deny that I dropped my fair share of hard art back in the day. The term hard art didn't even exist.
She coughed.
We didn't think.
Phlegm. A large amount of phlegm.
Streaming on other platforms? Yes. Oh, we got a fight.
Her tongue was like swollen. And I panicked.
I misclicked the triple. I could have died there.
Okay, but hold on a second. When did she pass away? You drove to Memphis on the 4th, right? When did she pass away?
Probably, I guess, on the 4th.
When did you cut her shirt off?
I don't remember doing that.
You're just going to tell him you cut it off. And then I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
I don't remember.
The next man.
I was in shock. I don't know.
Phil.
I don't know.
I know this. You didn't cut her shirt off at all. I know that. So, at what point?
Well, if it was...
Because you brought it back. And Phil, you asked for Kenny to be here.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Did you know that Mint's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back?
Who is this?
I told you it's Ryan Reynolds.
This seems like a scam text.
There's blood in that tub, and we swapped it. In fact, we took Kenny's DNA, and we took her sister's DNA because we don't have any DNA of your wife's.
I can give you her DNA.
Well, but Kenny, Phil, you haven't been honest with me. I can't just say, okay, this.
People who are guilty of committing a crime will try to appear helpful to decrease suspicion on them. In this case, Phil offering to get law enforcement DNA of his wife is likely an attempt to look innocent. But as he recounts the full story in front of his son, he couldn't possibly look more guilty.
She coughed up a big chunk of phlegm.
When?
At home.
When?
Did it happen on Wednesday night or did it happen Thursday morning?
Thursday, I think.
Phil,
Thursday morning.
Phil, let me tell you something.
I don't know for sure. It's been, how long ago?
It's been a while.
Anyway, but I don't remember cutting the shirt.
How did you get her out of the house?
I carried her out of the house.
Over your shoulder? Yeah. Drag her?
No.
Was she wrapped in plastic?
Yes.
So this 2 garbage bag story?
It was at home. It was at. I didn't want her to urinate all over everything, if there was any. Because I heard that if a person dies, they'll start to urinate. And I didn't want that to happen, so I put a bag on around her bottom.
You didn't use the plastic that you were laying on? That same kind of plastic?
No.
Jeez, man, that was close.
So you expect us to believe
As a risker.
that your wife is dead. In other words, she can't help you move her. And you put a garbage bag around her bottom and carried her out to your car. Up to the truck.
She lost weight. She didn't weigh as much as that.
Let's leave her out of this. So, she died at home. She's wearing her blue sweatshirt because you didn't cut it off at the house. At some point on this trip, you bagged several things in the bags, and you cut off the shirt. And there's blood in the tub. So how did that happen?
Close.
I don't know.
I haven't counted, but I bet I got more than 20, probably not 50, but more than 20 lies. And you lied to him in the beginning. You lied to Brian. You lied to every family. You called every single one of them and told them a different version of the story. And you know what that tells a person that's been a policeman all his life? You're guilty of something.
I'm not. I didn't kill my wife.
And nobody's accused you of killing your wife.
I didn't.
Yeah, that's the first time that word has even come out in this entire conversation. Is that?
No, you said, did you kill your wife?
I didn't. I never asked you that. I've never asked you that. I've asked you what happened.
I didn't harm my wife.
Well, you said that a bunch of times. You said that in a note, didn't you? Did you leave a note for Kenny? Why?
I wanted him to know I didn't harm his mom.
Okay. But honestly, do you think he knows that now?
I hope he does.
But how does anybody know anything if you are still being deceptive?
Phil trying to convince law enforcement that he didn't kill his wife, even when they haven't accused him of doing so, is a major slip-up. It tells investigators what he is fearing the most, and that they're on the right track with the next thing they reveal to him.
We had Jet, who is a cadaver dog, go all through your truck. Okay. Jet's the dead body who had been in there. And Jet spots these. That's what he does. He's been trained to know, just like a dope dog or a dog searches for missing people. This dog is trained to know the smell of death. When it got to your red tote in the basement, it locked on that like there was something of tremendous value, and it probably was to the dog. But in your truck, it didn't care about it. Where you were laying in your basement?
I triple ate that, bro.
It walked right over that like it was nothing. It smells death. And think about this. Think about it like I would think. Your wife is in the back of your truck. She's only got 2 garbage bags protecting her, and you're driving, and she's in the back of your truck. Don't you think she's moving around, jostling around while she's back there? Which is only, and she's passed away, so the normal protections that the body has aren't there. It's only going to expedite the body deteriorates. And the dog says, I don't see anything in there. Now, you did say you washed your truck in Memphis. Why'd you wash your truck in Memphis?
I couldn't see out of the windows.
Okay, but you have windshield wipers, right?
It was salt all over everything.
Well, what did you use to clean the floor on your side of the truck?
On my side of the truck? I didn't clean the floor.
We just so you know, we have your floor mat, and we did all kinds of swabs. When we were searching your truck, we used a luminol process, which looks for DNA. It lights up when it as it reacts to DNA, and the floor of your truck looked like a constellation. It was so bright.
Finding blood on the driver's side of Phil's truck leads law enforcement to believe that the most likely story is that Phil killed his wife and then got into the car with blood on his clothing to dispose of the body. Unfortunately, convincing Phil to admit that isn't going to be easy.
I've had enough. Do you agree I've had enough?
That's you.
Dr. Peck said, when I've had enough, stop the conversation. Okay. He's my psychiatrist.
Okay.
And I can't do this anymore. I gotta stop it right now. And we can maybe continue at some other time. But right now, my heart, my chest, my heart is thumping.
With evidence of foul play, but no body, law enforcement found themselves at a standstill. They needed Phil to crack. And, fortunately, they had someone in their department who was the perfect woman for the job. Retired undercover agent Joan Bauer.
I can't even remember what it was. And I took 25 of them to try to commit suicide.
25 Ambien?
Not with that type of...
Yeah. What did that do to you? Did it, like, knock you...
Give out your transition? No.
Just put you to sleep?
Well, I put a bag over my face and laid down.
Holy shit. Well, I'm glad, see, I don't care what happened to her. I'm glad you didn't.
And then My sister-in-law and my brother-in-law came in and called 911. And next thing I knew, I was the alternate nurse.
Good thing.
12 days.
But how did an undercover agent get close enough to Phil for him to be this vulnerable with her? It all began in the beginning of March, when Joan took on a new identity as Missy, a down-on-her-luck divorcee caring for her sick mother. She watched Phil for a week before becoming a familiar face at his usual breakfast spots, the local fast food establishments in town.
Hi, how are you? Yeah, last week. Yeah.
The undercover guy.
Different restaurant. Yeah, I can't go to the same one every day.
Soon, Joan becomes a fixture at the local Burger King, where a group of seniors gather to share coffee every morning. She's quickly introduced to Fran, who has an ominous warning for Joan only moments after Phil helps them get acquainted.
She said you could sit with her.
No, really, you can sit with me. No, please do.
We have assigned seats here.
You do, don't you? I don't. There wasn't a tag on mine when I got here. I'm new to the group. I needed a tag.
Hi.
I'm Missy.
I'm Fran.
It's nice to meet you. You smell good.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
I can't even smell it.
What you smell?
Oscar.
Is it? Oh, it smells good.
When Phil gets up to get himself some coffee, Fran sees an opportunity to give Joan a little advice.
You guys want?
Yeah, have a good one.
You too.
Don't get friendly with him.
Oh, really? With that guy there?
He's the one his wife snaps at.
Somebody was telling me about that.
Yes. Yeah. They can't find the body, so they can't charge him.
Do you think he did it?
He said he did, and then he's not well in the head.
Joan continues to spend her mornings with Phil, Fran, and the extended group. Gradually, Joan's relationship with Phil begins to strengthen through small, everyday interactions, until they are eventually joining each other for walks in the park. On the walks, Joan gives Phil more details about her life. She expresses disdain for her mother, who is unable to take care of her and treats her cruelly. Now, this story has been completely fabricated in an attempt to show Phil she understands the frustration of taking care of another person, in high hopes that, over time, it'll help Phil trust and connect with Joan. Throughout April, Joan meets with Phil nearly every day for either breakfast or lunch. They text almost every day, and Joan even gets Phil a treat for his birthday at a local donut shop. Soon, it isn't just Joan that is talking about the struggles of life, even if they're made up. Phil rapidly opens up to her, and when she suggests that she wishes she could get rid of her own mother, Phil invites her to meet him at Wendy's instead of their usual spot. Phil's son not coming around to see his side of things has started to concern him, and it has him thinking about what problems may lay ahead. Fortunately, Joan has all the right answers for him.
Concerned about. To say they indict me.
Damn it.
But they told my
Time he
doctor,
eats there, bro.
Dr. Rick was my psychologist when I was in the hospital.
That's not who you're seeing now.
No.
No.
He said the chief of police in Hartford said they didn't have enough to indict me. So I don't know what my son Kenny's trying to do to keep him stirred up. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, but they can't. I mean, the thing is, you can't get things stirred up. There, you know.
What I'm concerned about, I don't want a police car coming to your mom's house.
Oh, yeah.
And since you and I text each other,
you think they?
Well, say they take confiscate my phone.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, "Who is Melissa Schiffer?"
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but they could grill me all day. I told you. I'm tight-lipped.
So I told this lady, I said, all she can tell them is that
I wouldn't tell them anything.
my wife passed away.
I wouldn't tell them anything. I'd just say I'd talk to you sometimes at Harpo. I'd go to Harpo, drink coffee. I wouldn't even tell them that. That's the thing, like at Burger King, they don't know what you tell. People don't know what you tell me. Like at Burger King, like Fran, like all I know is that she goes and works out. People don't tell me anything. So if somebody were to come talk to me and say, what did he tell you? I would go, we talked about the weather and it's snowing and coffee, and every now and then he goes, how's your mom doing? Yeah. I mean, trust me, I'm one tight lip. Yeah, I'm not worried about that one bit. Not one bit. And I told you before, I've been challenged that way with my girlfriend.
Have you?
About 25 years ago, yeah.
With the police?
Uh-huh. Yep.
And you didn't tell them nothing?
Of course I didn't tell him anything. Why would I tell him anything? She's my friend. I don't want to see her in jail.
The interest Phil has in Joan lying for her friend is evidenced by the upward inflection in his voice when he says, have you? Joan telling Phil that she has had experience with law enforcement in the past has the potential to be a great comfort for him, and a character trait that may make Phil more secure, bringing her closer to the truth of what happened to his wife.
I felt bad. I thought, he probably thinks I'm like all kinds of yesterday, like after yesterday. He probably thinks I'm all kinds of crazy.
No.
Okay, because I just...
No, I don't.
That's just sort of how I roll. That's why... And I didn't mean it mean when I go, oh, I think you did it. I just think you did it because I think we're a lot alike, and I know that I would do it. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. Because it's interesting. Because I would do it. I am. But if you need someone to, I mean, you don't ever have to tell me. But if you need somebody to know, which was how it was with my girlfriend. And she, every now and then, not very often, her and I would meet, and she would like, hey, I gotta talk about, and she would get it off her chest because she trusts me. And, I could be that person for you. I want you to know that.
I don't know what he's doing, man.
By Joan saying that she would kill Bobby if she was in Phil's position, she's offering Phil an understanding perspective that likely serves as a major relief for him. Immediately following this up by saying she's happy to be there for Phil if he needs it, gives him a place to put that relief and share his burden. Fortunately, thanks to her great police work, Phil does just that.
But come on, tell me.
Tell you what?
I don't know.
I can't tell you anything else.
I thought you were going to tell me. I was like, I'm thinking, how would I do it? What would I do? And I think we're a lot alike.
This is the Beacon Update. A huge overhaul for settlements in No Man's Sky. With huge new robotic settlements to discover.
I think we think alike. So I'm thinking so I was thinking about it last night. I actually fell asleep thinking about it, and I was thinking about it last night. I even dreamt about it because it was like, how would I do it? And I don't think I'd have her in the truck that long. That's the thing.
But it was 0. Or not 0, but 10 degrees.
It was cold. Yeah. But
So
what if you got pulled over or something?
I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was in shock.
Right. I get that. I mean,
and what are they going to find?
But however, though, you're very smart. You are very, very, very smart. That's what, and you fooled him. That's why he told you that. That's why your son heard that, because you fooled. Look, they don't have anything, which is intriguing. I get it. When you said she got mean, and I think she got mean, and you just snapped. And I'm not sure how you did it, but I'm intrigued about that. I think you just snapped, and I think you're very smart. I think you're very, very smart. And you were like, okay, this is how I can, and you got away with it. Like, that is what's cool.
By repeatedly calling Phil smart, she's flattering him to put him more at ease. The smile that can be seen crossing Phil's face is a clear indication that it's working. Joan plays the part of a mentee seeking out information and looking up to Phil, who has done something that she considers cool. By downplaying his actions and reminding him that he's not evil or like quote-unquote real murderers, Joan is creating a safe space for Phil to explain the true nature of his actions. And slowly it begins to work.
I mean, I don't know how much effort it takes to do that.
Not much.
It doesn't?
2 minutes. 2 minutes can get kind of long.
I was going to say, is that, like, will she be fighting?
Maybe.
And yelling?
No, she's going to yell because go face down in the collar.
I could totally do it.
It can actually take anywhere between 3 minutes to 10 minutes for someone to die from being smothered with a pillow. That is, if they aren't fighting. Joan brushing off this fact with nonchalance, and the almost excitable assertion that quote-unquote she could do it, is something that would make most people sick to their stomach. But to Phil, it makes him feel understood.
Well, did you do it well enough so they're not going to find something? That's what I'm trying to help you with. You know what I mean? Because you know I get you. So did you do it well enough that they're not going to find something? Or are you worried they're going to find something?
No, I'm not going to find something.
Are you sure? Are you? No, I mean, like, are you? I mean, did you do it well enough?
Maybe.
See, that's why you're probably stressing, because it's a maybe. Because if it were a yes, there's no way they're going to find it. Then you would probably be a lot more comfortable.
There's no way I can know.
Nice.
There's the only way I can know.
That quote-unquote maybe is a thread that Joan begins to pull. If she can either soothe or heighten Phil's anxiety, she can use either of those to her advantage in order to get him to open up even more.
I could give you
a great night as well, man.
Yes, give me a scenario. Right, and that's just, yeah, I'm ready.
Don't forget about the 10 scenario.
Okay.
I can give you a scenario.
Okay.
I ask a guy that picks up dumpsters behind like windows.
Yeah.
So what do you do with that? Mary?
I know, but okay. Oh, then she's buried 10 feet deep in garbage now. They won't find her.
Then fucking shit.
There's no way.
It's just a scenario.
I know. So just a scenario.
Now, while Phil may think that referring to these events in the hypothetical means they can't be used against him, that is far, far from the truth. Regardless, he'll continue to use that strategy.
How long will it take for a body to decompose?
A year.
Does it really take that long?
Be bones.
But what about if you were in garbage? I would think that would speed it up.
I don't know. But she might not be in garbage. She might be in detention.
What is it? Hospital or something?
No, come on. Okay. You love to tease with me, don't you? Okay. Let's talk about the maybe. We're just scenario. It's just a scenario. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of dump? Did they say what kind of dump that the big ones go to?
Oh, it's huge.
It is. Like, how many people put it like tiny? Like it's a big one, or is it like a? Okay. Do they dump this? Well, you don't know. Do you know anything about the dump?
What that truck does, it compounds.
Mm-hmm.
The truck that picks up here from Wendy's,
yeah,
Burger King, and over here at the that gas station.
Yeah.
That dumpster over there.
Yeah.
That it goes in and
compact. Right. Huh.
And he takes it to the dump and he pushes it out.
Okay. And then pushes it out, and then they push out on top of it, or do they push out around it?
Well, then there's a big truck that dumps dirt
over top. They're good.
The pipes they come up to vent the methane
so that it all like disintegrates. Right. This is just this. Yes. So, what do the pipes do?
That's nothing.
Okay. So it's been scenario-wise. It's been 3 months. So 3 months of, although it's been cold, not hot. It'll help when it's hot. Don't you think?
I don't know.
Right. I know. See, now you got me intrigued.
Unfortunately, Joan's hidden camera ran out of battery just as the conversation was beginning to reach a crescendo. Fortunately, law enforcement is required to carry an audio recorder in case of camera failure. And what her audio recorder caught would change things forever.
Okay, I got another bizarre idea.
I like bizarre ideas.
Okay. And the reason I sit over here is because I'm anybody with your.
Okay. It's that bizarre. I love that bizarre.
Jesus. I was in the carpenter's union.
Okay.
I put my wife on as my beneficiary.
For life insurance.
For half of my pension.
Okay.
It'll be close to $900 a month.
Ooh.
If I die,
Yeah.
no one gets nothing. Okay.
Right.
They don't even know that my wife, because there's no death certificate.
Okay. Fine.
Say there's a marriage of convenience.
Then somebody gets.
$900 a month.
Interesting. Bizarre.
It's just an idea.
That is an idea. Bizarre, but you know I like bizarre. I have to think about that.
You don't even need to get frisky.
Good, because I'm not frisky kind of person.
Okay.
Let's play cards. Let's play cards. And let me think about that. That's very interesting.
And my son Kenny doesn't even need to know.
Because he doesn't even know that you have. So if she would have died, if you would have died before her, she would have gotten all that?
$900 a month.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Did she know that?
Oh, yeah. It's like 60 collabs.
Yeah. That's a lot of money.
This is the first time Phil has mentioned a potential romantic relationship with Joan. Though he tries multiple times to establish that Joan wouldn't have to be a romantic partner to him, there is an undeniable undercurrent that is something he would be interested in.
You're going to tell me, though, how it happened, aren't you? I'm done. I think, wait. Yeah, I'm done. You're going to tell me how it happened?
After I get to Cincinnati, I'll tell you how it happened.
No. Good try.
I'm done.
I think you should just tell me so we can get past that.